I think like one of the most exciting things in foiling, for me anyway, is taking off on a wave and knowing that's probably not the wave you're going to ride, and it's like the looking over the back and seeing something better, but knowing you can actually go over and get it, and that's the freedom element of it, I think, which is really cool. Adam Bennetts here, 37, originally from the Gold Coast, now currently living in Lennox Head. I was just a full-time surf club guy up until I was about 16, and then I just before that I started surfing. Actually funny, I literally was looking at my phone before, and Dion Aegis posted a video that I'd taken about 20 years ago. And that is kind of how my professional journey started in surfing. I used to film a lot. I was right into my videography, and he invited me to Bali to film him. I went over and filmed him for 2 weeks, and he did this crazy flip. The company was running like an air competition, and it was like best air. We ended up winning that, and I went to Hawaii with Surfing Life magazine and was to film for them. But when there was no surfers out surfing, I then went out and surfed and ended up getting a bunch of really good photos and got some double page spreads and magazines and covers and all this stuff. And at the time I was writing for a brand called Rhythm, which was a cool clothing company from Burleigh, and basically got all these photos for them, and they sort of basically just offered me a contract, and then that was kind of like the start of my surfing career. And then I spent the next sort of 12 years in Bali. My first foiling experience actually was with Wilco. So we were down at Waddigos. Wilco had an old original Go foil, big blue thing, paddled out, got flogged a couple of times, and that was kind of my first intro into foiling. At the time my brother was actually foiling for a year or so, maybe 2 years, and so he brought his foil down and gave me 2 proper sessions on the foil, and that was on a Friday. Basically I ordered a foil on that Friday online. It turned up on Monday, and I haven't surfed since. The biggest influence in my foiling journey, like recently, I'd have to say like Eric Geiselman, just because he's getting really good, and he's got the same, I mean, we talk all the time, and he's got the same outlook on foiling as me. He's still a pro surfer, but he's riding the foil like you would surfing, and that's been my goal from the start. So definitely Eric. I think he's one of the best in the world at the moment. If I wasn't foiling full time, I think I'd be doing something in music, because I love music, and I love the energy you get off a crowd when you're playing to a few hundred people or 1,000 people or whatever. It's a really cool feeling. What do I do physically and mentally to stay on top of my game? Definitely Pilates has helped a lot in the last, I'd probably say 6 to 8 months. Training those tiny little muscles that you don't even know you have really help with stability, which helps you, ride out of maneuvers that you probably wouldn't have. Also, definitely the ice bath and sauna. I feel like that sets you up for such a good, really puts you in a really good mindset for the day, and you can kind of just really attack the day and get stuff done and just be happy. I think being happy is so important in life, and I think if you can be happy somehow, whatever makes you happy, I think you're going to have a really kind of long life and a happy life. And to me, happiness is sort of everything. My favourite foiling location would have to be just here at Waddigos. It's unbelievable. Yeah, 3-minute rides every ride. The best crew of local guys who are all really close friends of mine now. Sometimes the walk back is better than the wave itself. Just walking back on the sand, talking crap with your mates, and just having a hell time. So my biggest foiling challenge, probably like mentally, I'd say was the Molokai to Oahu race I did last year. That was definitely one of the craziest things I've done, because it's a 65-kilometre race between two islands in Hawaii, and the longest sort of downwinder I'd ever done was about 17 or 18 kilometres. So I kind of went into that very, I don't know, unprepared. But mentally, I did it somehow. That was definitely one of the craziest things. So yeah, I reckon my most memorable foiling session probably was when I went to the river wave in Indo, which we're actually working on a full feature film on. Hopefully that'll come out later this year. That was one of the craziest things I've ever done in my life. Foiling down a river for 43 Ks, 2 hours, just one wave a day, and so much just stimulation, like from the waves, the water, there's crocodiles there. It was unbelievable. So I can't wait to release that film, because that was one of the most craziest things like I've ever done, and the footage is just like mind-blowing what actually happened. So super stoked on that. Describe FLITELab in 3 words. I would say stiff, responsive, and very fast. That's 4 words. Stiff, responsive, and fast. Ampjet or raw? I'd have to say a bit of both, because I love the raw for towing and proning around, but the Ampjet is just unreal for downwinding for me. It's like just full cheat code of downwinding. So most epic wipeout would have to be in Fiji last year when I foiled Cloudbreak at like 8 foot and nosedived on one, and then there was just like an 8-footer that just landed on my head, like straight after it. It was like one of the most perfect waves I've ever seen. Perfect 8-footer, just barreled all down the reef, straight on the head. Looking to the future, I guess my main goal is to basically surf the foil like a surfboard. Coming from surfing, being a professional surfer, that's all I ever wanted to do. And yeah, it's really cool with the way the foils and the technology and the designs have developed over the last few years, especially in the last couple of years. Because, if you were to tell me 6 years ago when I first started that I'd be able to do what I can do on a foil now, I would say to you, no way, because, back in the day, the older foils were very, very prehistoric, and they were just kind of for going straight. And now, with people like myself and all the other, people pushing the sport, we've taken that surf approach, and we're trying to put it into the foil so we can basically surf the foil like you would on a surfboard. And so it's basically like surfing on steroids, really. Everything is amplified. You're going way faster. There's so many G-forces you're pulling through your turns, and then having the ability to connect with multiple ways, be up on foil for 5 to 10 minutes at a time, and it's very satisfying. Being away from the crowds too is another huge thing for foiling. So yeah, I'm so happy to be in this sport now and trying to steer it in a direction and try and lead, I guess. It's super exciting for me, and it's really cool working with FLITELab, because what we've come up with is just such an incredible system, and I just cannot wait for everyone to try it, because it's going to change the whole industry. And yeah, it's really exciting. Super stoked.